The lady from the church asked me to pray for her husband's soul. I said, "Of course, when did he die?" And she answered, "Tomorrow." No child should die alone. That's why I decided to let my son invite some friends over. Someone started having a coughing fit at my workplace. The problem is that I work alone in a morgue. Never knock on your door from the inside at dawn. The devil can knock on the outside. These macabre stories and others that can't be told on the channel, you'll see in the Cursed ebook. The link is in the comments. Buy it now. In the dimly lit entryway of the Necrotherian Institute, an unsettling silence pervades the air. A flickering bulb casts erratic shadows on the walls, where the warning scrawled in blood-red ink reads, "Read the rules before working in this necrothery." It's an ominous directive that seems more a threat than a mere guideline. As your eyes adjust to the gloom, you can't shake the feeling that the walls themselves are whispering dark secrets, and the rules are the only barrier between you and the darkness that lurks just beyond the veil of sanity. The rules of the necrothery are not just protocols, but a grim tapestry woven from the macabre experiences of those who have come before you. They are inscribed with a certain eerie finality, as if the ink itself were infused with the very essence of the horrors you are about to encounter. Each rule is a cautionary tale, hinting at the grotesque fates that befell those who dared to ignore them. The air is thick with foreboding as you read, the very fabric of reality seeming to shift with every word. As you delve into the first rule of the necrothery, an icy chill runs down your spine. Never enter the mortuary chamber after midnight, it warns. The words seem to writhe on the page, as if alive with a sinister intent. The chamber is said to be a realm where the boundaries between life and death blur, where restless spirits are known to awaken with a vengeance. The flickering light overhead casts long, grotesque shadows, making every creak and groan of the old building sound like a whispering threat. Reading the second rule, you learn that all experiments must be recorded meticulously. The inked instructions speak of secrets too dark for the living, hinting at the monstrous outcomes of those who fail to document their work. The air feels suffused with a palpable dread, as if the very act of reading these rules is awakening dormant forces. You can't help but glance nervously over your shoulder, half expecting to see the ghostly apparitions of past researchers materializing to enforce these ghastly regulations. The third rule is particularly chilling. Do not look into the mirror of souls under any circumstances. The mirror, a grotesque artifact rumored to reflect not just your image, but the deepest fears of your soul, is shrouded in an aura of malignancy. The warnings are explicit. Those who have gazed into it have seen their own horrors come to life, their sanity fracturing into a kaleidoscope of nightmare. The reflection it offers is not one of vanity, but of a darkness so profound it consumes all hope. Always dispose of the remains in the designated burial pit. The fourth rule sternly instructs. The pit, it is said, is an ancient and cursed site, its depths harboring secrets too horrific to comprehend. The bodies entombed within are said to wriggle and writhe in their eternal rest, their anguished cries echoing in the night. As you ponder this rule, the shadows in the room seem to elongate and warp, mirroring the sinister nature of the pit described. The fifth rule warns against communing with the spirits of the damned. This rule is cryptic yet foreboding, hinting at rituals and practices that lead to unimaginable consequences. The spirits mentioned are not benign, but entities of malevolent intent. Their whispers a siren call to those who dare to seek forbidden knowledge. The room around you feels colder, as if the very air has thickened with the presence of these angry spirits, waiting for someone to transgress. Rule 6 demands the utmost vigilance. Ensure all seals are intact before conducting any necromantic rites. The seals in question are not mere symbols, but powerful wards meant to contain the restless entities you are to work with. An unsealed barrier is a gateway for unspeakable horrors, and the rule serves as a grim reminder of the chaos that could ensue if you fail. The very notion of these seals being compromised sends a shiver down your spine, as if you can almost hear the faint, eager scratching of something desperate to escape. Never attempt to resurrect anyone who has been dead for more than a year. The seventh rule admonishes. The implications of this rule are chilling. It suggests that the passage of time transforms the dead into something far more sinister, their bodies corrupted beyond recognition. The natural order. The eighth rule reads, do not provoke the guardians of the necrothery. These guardians are not described in detail, but the very mention of them evokes a sense of foreboding. They are said to be ancient, malevolent beings whose sole purpose is to protect the necrotherian secrets with brutal efficiency. The shadows in the room seem to deepen as you read. The silence now, heavy with the sense that you are being watched by unseen eyes, just waiting for you to make a fatal mistake. Never use the forbidden text unless instructed by a senior necromancer, warns the ninth rule. These texts are described as repositories of dark knowledge, their pages filled with incantations and rituals that could summon horrors beyond imagination. The very idea of using them without proper guidance is terrifying, as if even the act of touching these ancient tomes might awaken something horrific that would hunt you down. The room feels oppressive, as if the texts themselves are aware of your curiosity and are eager to drag you into their abyss. The 10th rule instructs, maintain absolute silence during the ritual phases. The consequences of breaking this rule are left ambiguous, but the ominous tone suggests that any disturbance could unleash something dreadful. The silence in the necrothery feels almost tangible, thick and suffocating. Every creak of the floorboard seems amplified, each breath a potential catalyst for some unseen malevolence. The very act of making noise feels like a transgression that could summon untold horrors from the shadows. Reading the 11th rule, you find a stark warning. Do not venture into the basement alone. The basement is described as a place of unspeakable terror, a labyrinth of corridors and chambers where the worst of the necrotherian experiments are conducted. The very mention of it sends a jolt of fear through you, the darkness beyond the threshold seeming to pulse with a life of its own. The rule feels like a last, desperate plea to avoid a fate too ghastly to imagine. The 12th rule cautions against tampering with the artifacts of the ancient ones. These artifacts are shrouded in mystery, their powers unknown, but hinted to be deeply malevolent. The idea of meddling with such relics evokes a primal fear, the sense that some things are better left undisturbed. The air seems to grow colder as you read, a spectral chill that suggests the artifacts themselves are aware of your curiosity and are eager to ensnare you in their dark embrace. Always wear protective garments when handling volatile substances. The 13th rule decrees. These substances are described as highly dangerous, capable of causing not just physical harm, but also spiritual corruption. The thought of coming into contact with such materials fills you with dread, as if the very act of handling them could warp your mind and body in horrific ways. The room around you seems to grow more oppressive, the shadows lengthening as if the substances themselves are reaching out to claim you. The 14th rule is simple yet chilling. No personal items are allowed in the necrothery. The emptiness of the room feels more pronounced now, a stark reminder of the cold, impersonal nature of the necrotherian environment. The absence of personal touch adds to the eerie, clinical atmosphere, heightening the sense of isolation. Never engage in unauthorized experiments, reads the 15th rule. This warning implies that such experiments could lead to catastrophic consequences, invoking fears of unleashed horrors or breaches of otherworldly barriers. The tension in the air is palpable, every creak and groan of the ancient building feeling like a prelude to disaster. The rule feels like a dire warning, a last line of defense against the unknown terrors that might be unleashed by a single reckless act. The 16th rule advises, always follow the chain of command. This rule highlights the importance of hierarchical structure within the necrothery, hinting at severe repercussions for disobedience. The very thought of defying the established order sends a shiver down your spine, the sense that any deviation from protocol could result in unimaginable suffering. The atmosphere around you feels charged with a palpable sense of dread, as if the consequences of failure are lurking just beyond reach. Never attempt to decipher the eldritch symbols on your own, warns the 17th rule. These symbols, described as ancient and incomprehensible, are said to hold powers that could drive a person to madness. The idea of trying to unravel their meaning evokes a deep-seated terror, as if even looking at them could unleash a torrent of insanity. The shadows around you seem to pulse with a malevolent energy, the very air growing heavy with the weight of forbidden knowledge. The 18th rule warns against disturbing the resting places of the forgotten. These resting places are described as ancient and sacred. Their sanctity is essential for maintaining the balance between the living and the dead. The thought of desecrating such sites is profoundly unsettling, as if the very act could awaken something monstrous. The silence in the room feels more profound, as if the forgotten are listening, waiting to exact their vengeance on any who would dare to disturb their eternal slumber. Never engage in necromantic practices without the proper warding rituals, reads the 19th rule. The necessity of these rituals is underscored by the fear of catastrophic consequences should they be neglected. The air around you seems charged with a sense of foreboding, as if any lapse in ritual could invite unspeakable horrors. The room feels like a ticking clock, each passing second amplifying the tension and the sense that something terrible is waiting just out of sight. The 20th rule is a stark reminder. Do not attempt to communicate with entities from beyond the void. These entities are described as incomprehensible and hostile, their motives beyond human understanding. The very idea of attempting to communicate with them fills you with a primal fear, as if such an act could open a gateway to madness. The room feels increasingly claustrophobic, the shadows growing denser, as if to shield you from the dark unknown beyond. Never neglect the safety protocols for the containment units. The 21st rule insists. These units are described as crucial for containing the most dangerous entities, their failure leading to disastrous outcomes. The thought of these protocols being ignored is deeply unsettling, as if the mere act of neglect could unleash a torrent of chaos. The room seems to close in on you, the sense of impending disaster growing with each passing moment. The 22nd rule warns, avoid making pacts with unknown entities. The allure of such pacts is hinted to be irresistible, but fraught with peril. The idea of making deals with forces beyond understanding fills you with a deep unease, as if the consequences could be far worse than you can imagine. The atmosphere is thick with a palpable sense of danger, as if the very air is charged with the malevolent energy of those who have made such pacts before. Never disregard the signs of impending ritual failure, reads the 23rd rule. The signs are described as subtle but crucial, their neglect leading to catastrophic failures. The thought of missing these signs is terrifying, as if it could lead to the unleashing of something far more dangerous than you can comprehend. The shadows around you seem to pulse with an almost tangible menace, heightening the sense that every detail matters in the dark rituals you are about to perform. The 24th rule is a chilling reminder. Do not enter the forbidden sections of the archives. These sections are said to contain knowledge and artifacts too dangerous for any but the most experienced necromancers. The mere idea of trespassing into these areas fills you with dread, as if the very act of entering could unleash untold horrors. The darkness seems to press in on you, a stark reminder of the boundaries you must not cross. Always conduct a full security sweep before initiating any experiments, warns the 25th rule. The necessity of this sweep is underscored by the fear of breaches or intrusions that could lead to disaster. The sense of urgency is palpable, as if any lapse in security could lead to catastrophic consequences. The room feels charged with an oppressive tension, the weight of the rule pressing heavily on your shoulders. The 26th rule advises, do not attempt to summon entities from the lower realms. These entities are described as particularly malevolent and dangerous, their summoning fraught with peril. The thought of engaging with such entities is deeply unsettling, as if it could lead to a fate too horrific to imagine. The shadows in the room seem to deepen, the air growing colder as if to remind you of the dangers that lie beyond. Never engage in unauthorized ritual modifications, reads the 27th rule. Modifications, the rituals are hinted to have unpredictable and often disastrous results. The idea of tampering with established rites fills you with a sense of dread, as if any deviation could lead to unimaginable horrors. The atmosphere around you seems to hum with an unspoken threat, the very air growing heavy with the weight of forbidden knowledge. The 28th rule is a stark warning. Do not ignore the signs of a dimensional breach. Breaches are described as catastrophic events that can tear apart the very fabric of reality. The thought of such a breach occurring fills you with terror, as if it could lead to a reality so nightmarish that escape is impossible. The room feels increasingly oppressive, the shadows lengthening as if to echo the impending doom described. Never attempt to interfere with the cosmic balances, the 29th rule decrees. The cosmic balances are described as delicate and crucial for maintaining order in the universe. The idea of disrupting them is profoundly unsettling, as if such an act could lead to catastrophic consequences. The air around you seems to vibrate with a sinister energy, the shadows growing darker as if to warn you of the dangers that lie ahead. The 30th rule cautions: avoid making direct eye contact with the entities in the containment units. These entities are described as dangerous and unpredictable, their gaze capable of inducing madness or worse. The very idea of looking at them directly fills you with a deep-seated fear, as if their gaze could penetrate your soul and bring about a horrific end. The darkness in the room seems to thicken, the sense of dread palpable and all-consuming. Never attempt to alter the rituals without authorization, reads the 31st rule. Unauthorized alterations are hinted to lead to disastrous outcomes, their consequences far worse than you can imagine. The air feels charged with a palpable sense of danger, as if any deviation from protocol could trigger a chain reaction of catastrophic events. The shadows around you seem to grow deeper, the silence more oppressive, as if the room itself is warning you of the dire consequences of failure. The 32nd rule is a chilling reminder: always ensure all wards are active before conducting any necromantic operations. The wards are described as crucial for keeping malevolent forces at bay, their failure leading to catastrophic breaches. The thought of neglecting these wards fills you with dread, as if it could lead to an invasion of horrors beyond comprehension. The room feels increasingly oppressive, the air growing colder, as if to mirror the dark forces you are attempting to contain. Never engage in unauthorized communication with the dead, the 33rd rule warns. Unauthorized communication is described as highly dangerous, leading to unpredictable and often catastrophic results. The very thought of such communication evokes a primal fear, as if the dead are capable of bringing about horrors too terrible to imagine. The atmosphere around you seems to pulse with a malevolent energy, the shadows deepening as if to echo the dark warnings of the rule. The 34th rule advises: always conduct experiments in designated areas only. The designated areas are described as specially prepared to handle the dark energies involved, their neglect leading to disastrous consequences. The thought of conducting experiments outside these areas is deeply unsettling, as if it could lead to an uncontrollable eruption of malevolent forces. The room feels charged with a palpable sense of foreboding, the shadows growing darker and more oppressive. Do not attempt to decipher the ancient runes without proper training, reads the 35th rule. The runes are described as highly complex and dangerous, their misinterpretation leading to catastrophic results. The idea of trying to understand them without proper training fills you with dread, as if it could lead to a fate too horrific to imagine. The shadows in the room seem to grow longer, the silence more profound, as if to underscore the gravity of the warning. The 36th rule is a grim reminder: avoid making unauthorized entries into the restricted sections. These sections are described as containing knowledge and entities too dangerous for casual access. The thought of entering these areas without permission is deeply unsettling, as if it could lead to a breach of reality itself. The darkness around you feels more oppressive, the very air thick with a sense of impending doom. Never engage in unauthorized summoning practices, warns the 37th rule. Unauthorized summoning is described as highly perilous, leading to unpredictable and often disastrous outcomes. The idea of attempting such practices without proper authorization fills you with a deep sense of dread, as if it could unleash horrors beyond comprehension. The room feels increasingly claustrophobic, the shadows lengthening as if to echo the dark warning of the rule. The 38th rule advises, always use the designated tools for necromantic work. The designated tools are described as essential for safely conducting necromantic practices. Their neglect leading to catastrophic consequences. The thought of using improper tools fills you with a sense of foreboding, as if it could lead to an uncontrollable eruption of dark forces. The room seems to grow colder, the shadows growing darker, as if to mirror the gravity of the warning. Never attempt to breach the veil between worlds without proper authorization. Reads the 39th rule. Breaching the veil is described as highly dangerous, with unpredictable and often disastrous results. The idea of attempting such a breach without proper authorization fills you with a primal fear, as if it could unleash a torrent of horrors from beyond. The atmosphere around you feels charged with a palpable sense of danger, the shadows growing deeper as if to echo the dark warnings. The 40th rule is a chilling reminder. Do not neglect the protective sigils during ritual phases. The sigils are described as crucial for maintaining safety during necromantic rituals, their neglect leading to catastrophic breaches. The thought of forgetting these sigils fills you with dread, as if it could invite an invasion of malevolent forces. The room feels increasingly oppressive, the shadows lengthening as if to underscore the gravity of the warning. Never attempt to override the security protocols, warns the 41st rule. Overriding these protocols is described as highly dangerous, with the potential for catastrophic consequences. The idea of tampering with security measures fills you with a deep-seated fear, as if it could lead to an uncontrollable eruption of dark forces. The air around you seems to thicken, the shadows growing darker as if to mirror the gravity of the warning. The 42nd rule advises, always consult with a senior necromancer before performing any advanced rituals. The consultation is described as crucial for ensuring the safety and efficacy of complex rituals. The thought of performing such rituals without guidance fills you with a sense of foreboding, as if it could lead to catastrophic failures. The room feels more oppressive, the shadows growing longer and more menacing, as if to underscore the importance of the rule. Never engage with entities from beyond the veil without proper precautions. Reads the 43rd rule. The entities are described as highly dangerous, with the potential to bring about disastrous outcomes. The idea of interacting with such entities without adequate precautions fills you with dread, as if it could lead to an uncontrollable invasion of horrors. The darkness in the room seems to deepen, the air growing colder as if to mirror the gravity of the warning. The 44th rule is a stark reminder. Avoid unauthorized alterations to containment fields. The containment fields are described as crucial for containing malevolent forces, their alteration leading to catastrophic breaches. The thought of tampering with these fields fills you with a sense of foreboding, as if it could unleash untold horrors. The room feels increasingly oppressive, the shadows growing darker and more menacing, as if to echo the dark warnings of the rule. Never ignore the signs of spiritual interference, warns the 45th rule. Spiritual interference is described as highly dangerous, with the potential to lead to catastrophic consequences. The idea of overlooking such signs fills you with a deep-seated fear, as if it could invite a torrent of malevolent forces into your world. The atmosphere around you seems to thicken, the shadows growing longer and more menacing, as if to underscore the gravity of the warning. The 46th rule advises, always follow the established protocols for necromantic summoning. The protocols are described as essential for ensuring the safety and success of summoning practices. The thought of disregarding these protocols fills you with a profound sense of dread, as if it could lead to an uncontrollable eruption of dark forces. The room feels more oppressive, the shadows lengthening as if to mirror the gravity of the warning. Do not attempt to communicate with entities without proper ritual preparation, reads the 47th rule. Proper preparation is described as crucial for ensuring safe communication with entities. The idea of engaging without preparation fills you with a deep-seated fear, as if it could lead to disastrous outcomes. The room seems to grow colder, the shadows growing darker and more menacing, as if to echo the dark warnings of the rule. The thought of tampering with these tools fills you with a sense of foreboding, as if it could unleash untold horrors. The air around you seems to vibrate with a malevolent energy, the shadows growing deeper and more oppressive, as if to underscore the gravity of the warning. Until next time, thank you.